Have you ever come home and your roommate is throwing a complete raging party, people everywhere, and having no regard and destroying all of your personal belongings? Hi, my name is Wyatt Asselstein, and I will be discussing managing interpersonal conflict and emotions with your roommates. The main idea of this presentation will be demonstrating how to manage and identify conflict. This will allow you to navigate successfully through a difficult relationship, approaching each conflict with a new strategy for helping you experience a more positive conflict outcome and ultimately maintaining a good relationship with your roommates. The three things I will be discussing is managing interpersonal conflict and how it's defined, the benefit of learning the types of conflict, and finally how being able to identify conflict has improved my own interpersonal roommate relationship. Interpersonal conflict is a struggle that occurs when two interdependent people have seemingly incompatible goals or needs. Most often we use terms like fight or an argument to describe the conflict. However, there are other conflicts that are harder to identify. For example, when two people are interdependent, what each person does, says, or feels affects the other person. These conflicts can be harder to measure and resolve. In the article, An Exploratory Investigation of the Relationship Between Roommates' First Impressions and Subsequent Communication Patterns by Kristen Merrick, Melissa Wanzer, and Jennifer Knapp, is a study on understanding why some roommate relationships persist and others do not. Data indicated that roommates who had more positive initial interactions were more likely to continue living together in the future. Additionally, these new interpersonal relationships are shown to have the single greatest impact on students' college experiences. Before this, I never really realized that interpersonal conflicts could be considered a positive thing, and that constructive conflicts were beneficial in a relationship. In the past, I would try and avoid all situations that would lead up to a conflict, just so that I didn't have to deal with a potentially explosive situation. For instance, I would continually clean up the kitchen, wash the dishes, take out the trash, and refrain from communicating my frustrations because I thought it would only worsen our relationship. Since learning that conflicts can be triggered by misunderstandings, differences in perceptions and ideas, and just plain ego, has allowed me to approach the situation entirely differently than before. For instance, this simple conflict of a messy household was resolved by the two of us sitting down and dividing up the household chores. His perception of dirty was clearly not the same as mine, and we compromised and found a middle ground. In conclusion, managing interpersonal conflict in a positive and constructive way can prove to be beneficial in a roommate compatibility and satisfaction. The myth that conflict can be avoided has been the case in my own roommate experience. Conflict is not always a negative struggle, and it's beneficial in trying to communicate and work things out.